So there. So I'm gonna
It skipped out for a second. It blanked out.
But we're back?
We're back, yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Oh gosh, and I haven't put my earbuds in. Does that help?
It will help if you put them in.
Okay, let's do that. That's one. Ding. I heard the ding. Does this help me? Does this help? I had some people today saying earlier that they couldn't hear me at all. I don't know what to do about that. We're gonna make some potato leek soup, and it's one of my favorite soups. I'll show you how to do it because there's some real basics to it that make it really, really tasty and good. First is, you gotta have some leeks, and if you're lucky, some leftover potatoes. And that might not be enough, but that doesn't matter because what I'm doing right now is I'm just giving you the basics on how to do this, how you can go back and check it out yourself and adjust if needed. It's pretty easy to do. First things first, I always, when I'm making a soup, I use what is called a mirepoix. A mirepoix are three things. You've got carrot, celery, and onion. Savory, salty, sweet. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that good to know? I love stuff like this. And of course we have the leeks. Now, understand that if you are going to use leeks, you buy them and you have to, it's an unusual vegetable. It's in the onion family ostensibly, but let me just say this. They grow in sand, and inside of all of these many, many, many layers, you'll find a lot of dirt. So you take the green off. It's like a great big huge overgrown big green onion, okay? You take the end off and you take the green, the dark green off because it's very leathery, you can't do anything with it. And then you slice it down the middle and you open it up and do one of these underneath the water and just let the sand all get taken care of. That's how you deal with that stuff. But first things first, I'm going to go ahead and deal with the onion. Let's just put this here for now. I put onion and leeks in it, which you'll see a lot of people do. There are some that don't, and all they do is just put leeks in. But I find that onion is always super helpful because, again, the base is the mirepoix. Mirepoix. Now, some people won't even use the carrot because, God forbid, the color. And I'm just not that purist, much of a purist. What I want is the flavor, and I believe that when you use the mirepoix, you get all the flavor. So this is not a traditional recipe that you're gonna find in a cookbook. This is Leanne's version of potato leek soup, and it is delicious. And again, not being a perfectionist, I just wanna get it in the pan and get going. Ta-da! One more. I would never make it on chop. You know how they make it on chop? They make them chop all those onions and they look for precision. I'm like, I'm out of here. Because I've had people say, hey, you should be on chopped. And I'm thinking, yeah, I could figure that stuff out. But then I was watching them and they were all about, chop these onions, yelling at them like drill sergeants. And if they didn't do a good job on it, you're going home. I'm thinking, I'm not going to travel all that way and not win. And they will not like my onion cutting because it's all about getting it done, you know? We got families to feed here. Now, I probably put a little extra onion in there that I wouldn't normally. I'm looking at it going, oh, that's a lot of onion. But I really don't care. And what I just did there is I have, this is, I'm not, ooh, don't use that. But the rest of it is nice. You just got to go through and check them.
Why was it bad?
It has, look, it's falling apart. It's all rusted. And there was some mold right there. No, thank you.
Good to know.
Yeah, good to know. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these leeks in there as well.
Somebody liked the garlic shrimp.
Pardon?
Catherine Walden liked the garlic
Oh,
shrimp.
you made that? Good, Catherine. And she's great. She always tells me about all the stuff that she's made. She's made a lot of the recipes, the non-recipes. Okay. Give it a stir. Oh, you know what? I forgot my trusty spices. Gotta have them. You guys probably think the only thing I ever use in my spice drawer is thyme. It's not true. It just seems like every recipe I'm demonstrating, there's a lot of that going on. Now, one of the things that I do, a lot of people ask me, well, don't you peel your carrots? Nope, I scrub them. We buy organic carrots, which doesn't mean that they're not dirty. They're still dirty, but they don't have, they don't have some pesticides all the way through. So what I do is I just give them a good scrub, wash them, and then that way I'm going to get all of the benefit from it.
It's like eating dirt as a kid.
Huh?
It's like eating dirt as a kid.
Well, we like to eat dirt.
Helps the biome.
And I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'm going to use a handful of this. And I've got to chop the rest of that too. Use a handful of the carrot. That's good. That's all I need. It does its thing. I'm also going to do the celery because I'm interested in. And by the way, you guys aren't going to believe this, but celery leaves are poisonous. You can look that up. I've always eaten them because I think they taste kind of good. You're not supposed to. They're poisonous. It's how it is with rhubarb too. Isn't that interesting? Chippity chop. Get her done. Good. Got it all. In she goes. I'm going to give it a stir again. We want everything nice and wilty. This is a lot of vegetables for this pot, but that's okay. It's going to, believe me, it's going to be good. And usually, you see with soup recipes, it's like throw everything in a pot, boil it up, consider yourself done. I saute the vegetables always before a soup. I find that it brings out just an extra layer of flavor. Instead of having all the vegetables just, take on the flavor themselves, they impart a little extra carrot, a little celery, a little onion. You see how that all works? It's very tricky. Okay, let's get some more. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna put like half of this in here. I'm gonna save this. I can use it for another use.
A lot of people are surprised to hear about celery leaves being poisonous.
Isn't it weird? Look it up.
We've
Google
certainly
it.
must take a bit of them to hurt you.
I think you have to eat a whole lot of them, but I read it and I was like, no, not the celery leaves. I mean, how many times have you, well, maybe not everyone, have you had a Bloody Mary where you've eaten the celery heart? The celery heart is delicious. I love it. But this is what they say, and I'm going to just guess that it has to do with a lot of that stuff. Okay, at this point, it's time. Some salt and pepper, my friends. We're going to add the garlic in now too. There's no danger of the garlic getting browned. That's why I'm adding it now. Oh, how about if I use the right contraption? And I'm going to use my little garlic rocker. Upper body workout. Seriously. And the reason I'm putting that in there, those were already peeled, so it's fine. It'll go in there. It'll do its thing. Really, you should smell this. You can smell the leeks. The leeks are lovely. And that's just really pretty looking, isn't it? Isn't it so pretty? Okay. For my next trick, this is the easy part. I've done all the hard stuff. All the chopping and everything, that's the hard stuff. This is the easy part. Now we're going to add in the broth. And I love me some good bone broth. This is all homemade, you guys. This is the way it should look. You're not going to get that out of a carton. take this fat off. I'm just not a fan. Don't look. Ew. Just not a fan. I know some people are just, they're all about it. Oh, I love that part. It's delicious. Nope. Now I'm gonna, let's see here. Just gonna bust some of this up. Look it. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And here it goes. I'm gonna give it a stir and see if I need, how much more I need. Gosh, that kind of simmered everything down, didn't it? And sincerely, that's about it. I'm just making a small pot because there's just a couple of people here and I don't want to have a whole lot of soup. Like I said, the weather is starting to warm.
Do you ever cook Swiss chard?
Oh yeah, love it. Yeah, there's a question how to do it. that would be something I could show you how to do.
Would that work as a substitute for leeks, or is that a whole different thing?
No, it'd be a substitute for spinach. It's a dark leafy green.
Right.
Yeah, it would not at all. It would be actually pretty terrible. Okay, so this is the part, I guess this is the part where we'll be done, but I'm gonna explain exactly what you would do next. Okay, so understand, everything has been salted, peppered, and thymed. I've got in here, I've got my leeks, I've got my carrots, I've got my celery, and my onion, right? And I cooked it all with a nice ghee, which is good. That imparts flavor as well. And I have a half a pot here of soup, cooking, getting ready. What I'm gonna do is put a lid on this, and I'm gonna let it simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes until everything is completely tender and falling apart. That's my whole goal. At that point, I'm gonna turn down the heat. I will add these leftover mashed potatoes. And from there, I will look at it'll probably come up a little bit, and I'm gonna add about a half a cup of heavy cream. That's it. The reason I only add half a cup, you don't need a whole lot because it's mostly a bone broth based soup. But this is just tremendously flavorful, and it doesn't really take much. And once the vegetables have all cooked down into the broth, and I've added the potatoes and I've added the cream, at that point I'm gonna let it go for another 10 minutes. I'll taste it, correct the seasoning, meaning it might need more salt, more pepper, it might need some more thyme. And then I'll just add a little bit more, stir it up another 5 minutes after correcting the seasoning, and it's ready to go. Now here's something you should know. When you're doing soup like this, if you want it smooth, you need to use your blender. Do it in small batches. Never fill your blender all the way with hot soup, because you will end up with a Rorschach experience. What was that called? A Rorschach diagram?
Rorschach, yep.
Yeah, you will have a ceiling that is just a complete and utter mess. Ask me how I know. But if you do it in half batches, you don't want to do it all the way. If you like a really smooth soup, that's the thing to do. I kind of like the lumps and bumps of a soup because I like to know what it is that I'm eating. I don't want it all one texture. But if you prefer to do that, that's fine. You can do that. But the other thing is that it's not going to take a whole, this is a quick, easy, fast soup to make. And it's deliciously satisfying, even in the spring weather. My other suggestion too is that you just kind of eyeball it with the cream, because I always get people saying, well, how much cream do I put in it? Well, until you get the consistency that you want. That's it. This will cook down a little bit. You know, once I take the lid off, let it cook down a little bit, that's what's going to thicken it up. Do you need a roux for this? A roux meaning a thickener, flour and water, or cornstarch and water, or arrowroot and water to make a nice paste to thicken it up? No. It will cook by itself, it will cook down a little bit, and it will thicken naturally by itself. That's how you make this. And that's what the mashed potatoes do too. The mashed potatoes add a lot of thickness to the soup. So, if you like this or any other recipe like this, I have lots of recipe free recipes where you get actual ingredients and actual measurements and everything with dinner answers. And we have so many people joining us for dinner answers because we have pandemic pricing going. It's only $7 a month. And your $7 a month supports this small woman-owned business, and we in return support you on a weekly basis because we give you menus, recipes, and shopping lists every single week. No matter how you eat, we've got a plan for you. So check it out. That's at savingdinner.com. Thank you again for supporting us and being pandemic priced subscribers. We really appreciate you. And I'll let you know how the soup goes. I'm excited about it. Ciao. See you later.